ask a good question, you're going to get a good answer. Let's see what the Q&A has in store for me this week.
DreAllDay.com.
What's up, everybody? This is Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. We are here for Q&A number 49. This is a Q&A that I do every single week. The video posts on Saturdays. I record the video on Friday. So today is Friday, December 12th, 2014. You're watching this on December 13th. The next Q&A will be out next Saturday. I'll record it next Friday. The way this works is you leave your questions and or comments. Better if you ask a question so I can respond to it in the comments to this video. One question per person. I'll respond to each question by reading through the comments next Friday when I record the next Q&A. I don't look at the comments otherwise, so I'm looking at all of these for the first time. You ask me a good question, you're gonna get a good answer. Please don't answer other people's questions. So we're gonna get right into it. I don't think I have any notes to give to y'all before we start this video. Let's just get right into it, see what we got here. First of all, Kevin Winata says, Dre, how can I be confident playing against a taller person? Well, Kevin, first of all, you need to work on your own game. Because when you're focusing on the opponent and the skill or some attribute that the opponent has, the reason why you're not having success is that exact reason, because you're focusing on what they can do. So if you say, how can I play against somebody who's taller than me? How can I play against somebody who's faster or quicker or stronger or more experienced or a guy who always blocks my shot? You're focusing on what that person is doing, and you're focusing on your disadvantage, your perceived disadvantage, and that's the reason why it continues to be a disadvantage. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It just goes in a cycle. So when you start focusing on your game, you won't have to focus on the other player anymore. They'll have to worry about you because you'll be a better player. So when you improve your game, it won't matter what the size of your opponent is. So all you need to do is worry about that, because you can never control your opponent. There'll always be somebody taller than you, unless you like the tallest man in the world, you're 8 feet tall. There's always going to be somebody taller than you. So it's not a how-to to playing against somebody bigger than you. It's improve your game, so it won't even matter if somebody's bigger than you. Next question is the player. He says, when I'm on a fast break, how can I avoid getting chased down by somebody who's taller and faster than me? And he says, which whey protein powders do I recommend for basketball players who want to gain lean muscle mass? Well, to address that second question, it has nothing to do with the whey protein powder. If you want to gain lean muscle mass, you need to lift heavy weights and consume more calories than you're taking in. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take protein powder. And if you don't know anything about protein powder, I don't think you know as much as you need to know. You need to read up on it and learn about it before you just start taking things just because you heard somebody else took it, or you saw somebody else took it, or somebody tells you, because you're putting chemicals in your body when you're putting that stuff in your body. So you really need to know what it is before you put it in there. Don't take anyone's word for it. I don't care who it is or what they said. To address the basketball question, how do you avoid getting chased down, blocked, is the same as the previous question. If you're trying to avoid a negative situation, that means you're focusing on the negative. The better question is, how can I finish on a fast break? That'd be the better question. If you need to work on finishing on a fast break, all you got to do is get on the court and practice it. If players are taller and faster than you, you can improve your speed, you can improve your ability to finish, you can improve your ability to control your speed, control your pace, control your tempo. So if you have a player trying to chase you down from behind, you can always slow down, let that guy breeze past you and still finish your shot. Or you can slow down and try to draw a foul. You can use a reverse, go to the other side of the rim. These are all skills that you develop yourself and instincts you develop from playing basketball. But if your focus is on avoiding the negative situation or trying to outdo the situation that you see as a perceived disadvantage, all you're doing is focusing on that negative or focusing on that disadvantage. It's going to continue to be a negative and or disadvantage as long as you focus on it. So the better question is asking what you can do for yourself. It has nothing to do with avoiding the opponent, because you can't avoid opponents. There will always be players who are taller than you. There will always be people who are faster than you. So there's no way to avoid a situation of having someone who's taller and faster. What you need to do is improve your skill just for you. It has nothing to do with the other person. Once you do that, you won't have to ask those type of questions. How can I avoid getting outplayed by somebody who has these physical advantages that I don't have? Because you'll be so focused on yourself and your own game. Once you get to that level, it won't even matter what anybody else on the court can do, because you'll be only concerned about you. Next question is Ray Tocino. Says, my gym only has machines. Can I still do the jump manual? I would, what's my word, advise you to contact the Jump Manual program customer service. And actually, before you even do that, read the FAQ on their page, on their website at dreallday.com/jump. They have an FAQ that I'm 95% sure addresses that question. So go read it and you'll have your answer. Next question is GM Canlas says, Dre, are you still going to be involved in basketball and continue posting vids when you're not playing basketball anymore? Yes, I will be involved. Yes, I will post vids. Next question. Michael Patterson says, have you ever gotten pussy just for being good at basketball? Okay, I guess that's a legitimate question. The answer is yes. Next question. Game Changer 2 says, when I don't get my fingertips on the seams or laces of the ball, sometimes my shot is off target. What should I do in situations where I don't get my fingers or laces on the ball? Any tips would be helpful. Well, here's the tip, Game Changer. Why don't you practice the situations where you don't get your fingers on the laces or seams of the ball so your shot is on target and you start making it? My answer to your question is not really the key to your dreams. The key is for you to go put in the work. So if you, by deductive reasoning, you can see when you don't get your fingers on the laces, which happens sometimes in a game, so the game moves faster and you can't always adjust the ball in time to get your fingers exactly where you want them, you're missing shots. So why are you not practicing on those shots that you continue to miss? And I think you already know the answer to that question. A lot of times you find in life, not just basketball, when people are asking for advice, they already know what they need to do. They just want somebody to tell them to do it. So now I told you, so now go do the work. Next question. Elias Money says, well, he made a comment about the situation I referred to last week where the black guy got choked out and there was no indictment, but we're not going to go back into that. I already said what I had to say. Next question is Maniac Mizuto says, how would you feel? Said, would I feel great knowing that everybody that referred to your videos made the team and actually made it? Would I feel great? Well, I feel great if one person tells me that they improved their game from watching my content, then took what they watched and actually applied it themselves and did the work and got better. Next question. Masta Nizuma says, Dre, what do you usually eat for breakfast the most? Well, I usually eat for breakfast the most. I eat bananas is probably the top thing that I eat for breakfast. Next question is Harris Ramanovich says, have you ever had shin splints and how did you recover from them if so? No, I have never had shin splints, so I can't tell you about recovery because I've never experienced it, luckily. Next question, JSG028 says, I told you before I was cut from the team, and he told me that it was because he was short, and he said the coaches are asking him to join because some of the players are not performing well or showing up to practice. He said, what should I do? Should I accept it? Well, JSG, I think you can answer that question for yourself, so you don't need me to tell you what to do with yourself. You're the one who tried out for the team. You're the one who got asked, so you can think for yourself and decide for yourself. Next question. Paul Schrader says, are there any pieces of equipment that prevent finger jamming? I don't think there is. And if you could come up one and invent it, maybe you can make a lot of money, Paul. Next question. Sneakerhead to Toes says, Dre, I'm pretty new to your channel. He says, how often do you practice basketball? Well, Sneakerhead to Toes, if you watch my videos, if you subscribe to this channel since you're new to it, and you see how often I put out content, that should give you a good idea. Next question. Easy Money says, are you ever going to make programs free like the Derrick Rose signature workout program? No, Easy, they're not going to be free, but if you want something that's free, I have put out over 4,000 videos here, which is more than every other YouTube person making basketball videos put together. So if you're looking for something free, I got it here. Next question. Martin Ivanov says, I'm not American, so my question is, can you go to college and then try out for that college team? Yes, if you're enrolled in a college, you can try out for any sports team that you want. There's actually a rule that every sport must offer tryouts for walk-ons. So yes, you can. Is it as simple as you're just going to get on the team just because you went in there and tried out? No. I've written about that extensively on my website, dreallday.com. So if you really want the information and you're not just idly asking the question, you can go to my site, read the information, and then take action based on the information I gave you. Next question. Isaiah Kelly says, at the beginning of the season, my shot was going in, but now it's inconsistent. And I can't go to a gym because I'm 13. How can I keep my shot consistent when only having practice about twice a week? Well, Isaiah, you can use mental practice. You can mentally picture yourself shooting a basketball, focus on the feeling of making shots, and really get deep into it. This is just a mental, like I said, it's a mental practice. So it's not going to happen immediately just as you thought about it. for 30 seconds. If you can take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour, an hour a day, and mentally focus on making shots, the feeling of making shots, seeing the shot leave your hand and seeing it go in, even moving your hands in a way that you would actually shoot the ball and feeling it go in, it's been proven scientifically that people who practice mentally succeeding actually improve more than people who only practice physically succeeding. Next question. Tough Tanny says, I want to thank you because I trained for 2 years, expanding my arsenal. Your moves are now marked in my muscle memory. Congratulations and you're welcome. Next question. Sky Kais says, have I ever heard about some elite guard training program? He's asking me about. What do I think about? No, I haven't heard of it. Thusly, I have no opinion. Next question. Raul Marmalejo says, besides basketball, how did you become so hungry and motivated? What drove you to get where you at? Was there a certain thing that happened? Were you always like that? There's no guts and glory story to it. I mean, I have certain things that I want to achieve, and then you go and make those things happen. I read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of audio stuff, watch videos on personal development. And personal development, basically, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's like human psychology / self-help, things that people share that help you develop as a person, whether that be your drive to get things done, how you conduct yourself, how you interact with other people, how you carry yourself, the way you go after the things you want in life, figuring out what you want in life, how to go about those things, how to find your inner drive that really makes you want to get up in the morning and go achieve something. And a lot of that stuff you can find online on YouTube. You can find it through books. If you go to my website and you go click on the About page, there's a page called Books That I Read. You can look through all the books that I read. And if you are on my website every day, you're subscribed to the RSS or you're subscribed to my mailing list, you'll see the blog posts that I write where I talk about this stuff all of the time. So you can always glean information. If you look up personal development online, even here on YouTube, you'll see a lot of stuff. Like I mentioned last week, there's a guy named Jim Rohn, you got Tony Robbins, you have a Les Brown, you got a Bob Proctor, Earl Nightingale, Napoleon Hill. All of these people are self-help / personal development gurus. They're recognized as legends in the field, and all this stuff, like I said, is easily available to anyone. You just have to take the time out to listen to it and read it. Next question. Tyler 404 says, do you remember a 20-plus point game or your first dunk? I don't remember my exact first dunk, but I know I was around age 16. He says, do I remember a 20-point game? Sure. He didn't say first. I think he meant my first 20-point game. I don't know when that would have been, but sometime in the teens is the best I can tell you. Next question. Vladimir 1, he again asked, he made a comment about the New York situation. And like I said, I'm not going to keep going back into that. We've already addressed it. Next question, but thanks for the comment. Young Zelo says, is there a video on how to play against varsity because I am a freshman on varsity basketball? There is no how to play against them. It's basketball, Young Zelo. So you know how to play basketball, obviously, since you made the basketball team. So the game didn't change at all. Only thing that changed is the people on the court for you. So all you had to do is play the game the way that you played it. They got you on the team, and you will continue to improve. Keep playing against players who are going to challenge you to get better. Keep practicing when you have the opportunity to practice purposefully so that you actually have some objective to improve. If you don't know how to practice purposely, or you don't know what to work on to actually get yourself better, I've provided plenty of resources for that, namely my training program's website called hoophandbook.com addresses that directly. Next question. Babyface Assassin says, what is allowed in basketball when you want to be physical on defense? He said he sees players using arm bars. He doesn't see players doing arm bars anymore. He wants to play defense like Chris Paul, getting under the defender's skin, or Babyface Assassin. I think you're thinking about it too much. You want to play defense like them? What's stopping you from doing it? Just go do it. And if it's against the rules and the referee will call foul on you, then you can ask the referee what you're doing wrong, what you can do, what you can't. That's it. So talking about it and thinking about it and wanting to do it mean absolutely nothing until you actually take some action. So once you take action, then you already have the answer to your question. So you have questions because you haven't taken any action. Next is Joey Aguirre. Says, what kind of drills and what type of form make you better at shooting three-pointers? Well, Jois, I don't know how you found this Q&A, but I got over 4,000 videos here, and I addressed that several times over. So if you just look in my channel, use the search bar on my channel page, you'll get answers to that, and then you had to actually go and do the work. Same thing I said before. Ahmed Masood says, you ever seen a decline in your athleticism yet as you are getting older? I don't know. Somebody had to play against me and prove it before you actually would know it. And you're not going to hear me say it. You got to play against me and prove it. Next question says, the real Ray 20 says, when people ask for shoes for ankle support, he mentions some brand that is excellent. Well, the real Ray, I can't endorse that because I don't have any experience with it. Thusly, I wouldn't offer that as an opinion. But if that's your opinion, that's fine. But I'm not going to endorse that in my video. Next question, Mizael V says, my question is, will you be posting any full games anytime soon? He says not a lot of 5-on-5 games that I put out recently. And he said it'd be awesome. I'll watch every game. Well, we'll see. You have to wait and see, myself. I got a lot of video footage. Maybe I'll put something out. Maybe I won't. We just got to see what happens. But thanks for asking. Smackit says, he says, have I ever tried to play in the Puerto Rican leagues? He said, I can picture that you could do very well there. I know some players who play in the Puerto Rican leagues, but there are hundreds of basketball leagues in the world. So I appreciate the suggestion, but there are a lot of suggestions on things that this league, that league, do this, do that. But I have heard of it. Thank you for the suggestion. Next question. Always Awesome says, he said he wants to gain fat to lose weight again because he's the true definition of quote unquote skinny fat. I've heard of that, but I can't really explain what it means. He says, can I give him an idea of how he can gain fat to lose weight again? No, I can't give you an idea because I'm not an expert at that, so I wouldn't offer you any incorrect advice. You should probably talk to someone who's a trained professional at that, or a proven professional at that, rather. They don't have to be trained, but they can have to have some proof of that they know what they're talking about. I'm not that person. And the second question says, if somebody plays super tight defense, I can't shoot. Do I have any drills? Yeah, I got over 4,000 of them. So look through my channel, you'll find drills, do the work. You have questions, you ask me about drills to a person who's posted 4,000 vids here. This means you haven't done any work yet. And the work, looking through the drills to find the ones that will help your game, that's part of the work. So until you do that, you're going to continue to have questions. You continue to keep having that same problem. And if you want to program instead of just a drill, then you can go to hoophandbook.com, which has programs specifically for every area of the game that you need. For you, I would suggest that jab step triple threat program, which can help you in creating space out of triple threat position. Also the scoring moves for shooters, which is scoring off dribble, which is something you probably will need to work on if you can't shoot when there's tight defense. Next question, Kyran McGee says, what's the best dunk you ever done or witnessed in person? Best dunk I've ever done or witnessed in person, I'd say probably the dunk I had when I went to my first pro exposure camp, which is the very first video I posted on YouTube, so you can see it here on the site. And there's only one big highlight dunk on that video, so you'll know what it is when you see it. Next question, Sal Rosales says he loves Dre all day. Well, I appreciate that, Saul. Next question, Craig says, Craig is trying to ask me to, actually it's not Shy Rag, he's posting some link about some charity. We don't do that here, Shy Rag. Next question, Bradder's World says, can I do the jump manual as well as the Ultimate Athlete? If not, can I do the signature workouts with them? What one would I suggest to do first, Ultimate Athlete or Jump Manual? Bradder's World, I would suggest you do the Ultimate Athlete first, Jump Manual second, and do not do those at the same time because you're going to overwork your muscles. They're not designed to be done at the same time. Both of those programs are exclusive off-the-court training programs. Yes, you can do a signature workout while you do one of those programs, but always listen to your body. There is no concrete formula for how much exercise everybody can do. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. Always listen to your body. If your body's telling you something, then you need to listen to it, and if you ignore it and then you hurt yourself, then you are to blame. But you had the information. Do not do both of those off-court programs at the same time. Next question, Tyler Waffle says, I want to say thanks. Everything you told me was spot on. I need to get my stuff together. And he wants to know, how do you stop comparing yourself to others? Well, you stop paying so much attention to them and pay more attention to yourself. It's really that simple. And if you still want more information, read my book, The Mirror of Motivation, which you can get at dreallday.com/mirror of motivation. If you go to my website, you'll see the books right there on the side of the screen on the right side. Next question. Abdul Rahman Salem. He says, I'm from South Libya. I'm 13 years old. I started lifting weights about a month ago. He says, does lifting weights improve your game in vertical leap? Well, that's a very broad question. It would depend on what type of lifting you're doing and what type of game you already have, because lifting weights is not going to improve your game. If you want to get better at playing basketball, you have to play basketball and practice basketball. It's like asking if playing basketball is going to improve your weightlifting. No. If lifting weights, could it help you perform better in the game? It could, but it depends on what type of lifting you're doing and what the purpose of that lifting is. And at your age, I have serious doubts that you have any idea what your purpose is, or if you even know what you're doing. So I would suggest you find someone who knows what they're talking about. And if you don't have access to that person, since you're on YouTube, I suggest you take a look at hoophandbook.com at the Position of Power and Ultimate Athlete programs, which are designed both by a certified strength and conditioning coach who will take you through a program that progresses from the level that you're at to a level that you want to get at. But if you go into it blindly not knowing what you're doing, you run the risk of making yourself worse, not making yourself better. Next question. Lambo Mercy 09 says, I'm a rookie at basketball. I can perform the fundamentals, but my handles aren't very good. How can I get confidence while dribbling? Do I have any dribbling drills from beginners? For beginners, yes I do. If you go to the ball handling playlist on my channel, you'll see the answer to both of those questions is a resounding yes. I have a program also called Simple to Advanced Ball Handling. That is available at, you guessed it, hoophandbook.com. Next question. Kevin K. Brew says, if you don't get into a game and the coach doesn't say anything, should you say something? Well, it depends, Kevin. Do you really believe that you deserve to get into the game? Did you earn some playing time before the game happened? Because if you didn't, or there's a question and you're not sure, then the answer is probably no. And if you really believe you should have gotten to the game, you should wait till the next practice, pull the coach aside and respectfully say, hey, what can I do to get more playing time? Not why didn't I get in the last game? Because guess what? The last game's over. All that matters now is for the next game. So ask why, what can you do to earn more playing time? Not to get more playing time, but to earn more playing time. Because playing time is not given, it's earned. And I know there's always going to be a lot of players with the excuse, well, this player was given it and this player didn't earn it. Well, listen, we're not talking about that player and this player. We're talking about you. So if you want more playing time, ask how you can earn it. Because when you earn something, then you have a right to it. And if you're looking to get something, then that's just what somebody hands to you. And when somebody hands something to you, they can take it away just as quickly. So when you earn something, it's yours. Next question. Travis says, I need help. I play ball for fun. He hasn't really improved his game. He watches videos. He wants to improve, but every time he works off, every time he goes to work out, he puts it off and ends up not doing it. How can he get better skill-wise if he's not that motivated? Well, Travis, here's the plain and simple answer. You won't get better. If you're not that motivated, then basketball is probably just not the thing for you, and that's fine. Everybody who's watching this video is not going to become a basketball player, whether that's a high school player, a college player, or a professional player. Not all of you are going to become basketball players, and there's nothing wrong with that. Basketball can be a leisure thing that you just go play for fun with your friends. It can be something that takes you to a certain level, then you get to the point where, okay, I'm done with basketball, I want to move on to something else in my life. And that's absolutely fine. I mean, you look around at the world, there are a whole lot of people who are happy and successful who don't play basketball or don't play a sport, period. So you have to find what it is that does have you motivated, Travis, something that you don't have to ask somebody, how can I get motivated to do this? There is something, there are probably multiple things in your life that you're motivated to do without having to ask, how can I get motivated? Those are the things you should be doing. Now, if basketball is something you only can get motivated to do once a week or twice a week or 3 times a month, then fine, just play basketball then. But basketball is not a thing that everybody has to do. It's not like going to school, where most kids, they have to go to school for a certain amount of years. You had to kind of figure some motivation to go to school. Most of the time you already had a motivation, which is you already know that you have to go. There's somebody, something, somewhere forcing you to go, so you don't really have to think about, should I go to school today or not? You pretty much have to, right, for most of you. So for basketball, there's nobody cracking the whip saying you have to go play basketball. I doubt there's any of you who's being forced to play basketball. You're playing because you want to, and if you don't have that want to, then go do something else. There's nothing wrong with that. This question's from Tobias Schaub. He says, Dre, could you please explain your intro when you're wearing a Miami Heat jersey with the number 4 on it? What Heat jersey? Next question. Chris Damian says, when you warm up or get ready to work out, do you have a certain type of routine that you go through, assuming that you do stretches? Do you have like a shooting warm up that you always do first? Do you do a whole start shooting inside, then make your way to the outside? And he puts that in quotation marks. I don't even know what that is. If that's just a regular thing that a bunch of people do, I have no idea. Me, when I work out on the court with the drills that you see in my videos, I start with a dynamic warm up. I have posted several dynamic warm-up videos that I do on the court before a workout. After the dynamic warm-up, I'm right into drills, full-fledged, all-out, full speed, whatever you want to call it. And the dynamic warm-up takes me anywhere between 6 to 9 minutes, I'd say, and then I'm right into it. Next question is Jacubas Vigelis says, I'm mad, I work so much. He says he's physically doing great because he's ripped, he works out off the court a lot. His game is staying in one place. He can't move on. His vertical is the only thing that's improving. And he's working a lot, and sometimes he just wants to give up because he's not getting any results. And he asked me, do I have any tips? And he adds that I see people who don't work, they just joke on the court, but they score more points than him. And his leg is about to die because of an injury from a year ago. And if I'm going to say that he's not working enough, then I should believe him that he works really hard. Well, here's the thing, Jacubas. First of all, if there are players who are doing something that you're not doing, when we're talking about performing, because the thing about basketball is we practice, yes, but the practice is not the end. The practice is a means to an end. We practice so that we can perform better in the games. And the games are not as often as a practice. So the practice is the thing we do more often, but the purpose of practice is to prepare for the games. And if a person is performing in the games better than you, that means they're doing something that you're not doing, whether that be physically, whether that be mentally, whether that be their game experience, whether that just be the way that they approach the game mentally. They're doing something that you're not doing if you are not getting the results in the actual games. So what you can do is look at those players who you kind of belittle them by saying they don't work, they just joke on the court. Well, they're doing something that you're not. So if you think you're doing all the work, but you're not performing when it matters, and they are, and you think they're not doing any work, then there's a disconnect there. There's something that they're doing that you're not, that is causing you to not perform at the level that they're performing at. So instead of talking about them, what they're doing or what they're not doing, you need to focus on you. And you can use them by asking these players, hey, or ask any player you think who performs better than you, hey, what is it you're doing in the game that I'm not doing? Ask one of your teammates, what do they think about your game? Ask them, why do they think you're not getting the performances or the results in the games that you want to get based on the amount of work that you're doing? Ask your coach, what is it I can do to perform better in the games? Is if you ask a vague question, like, do you have any tips? Like what you asked me here, you're going to get a lot of vague answers from people. So you have to ask something specific, which is, what can I do to get better? And the thing is, a lot of players don't want to ask that question because a lot of players come to me and they frame themselves as doing so much work and they're so dedicated and they're so passionate and they practice so much, but then they tell me how they're not getting any results in the game. Well, something is missing, because if all those things were hitting on 100, like you say, I'm not saying you, Jacubas, but as a general rule, these players who come to me with this, if you were doing all of those things, then you'd be getting the results and there wouldn't be any problems. So there's something missing. So what you had to do, the first thing you had to do in order to get to point B, you got to understand where you are, which is point A. You can't call an airline and say, hey, put me on the next flight to New York City, and then hang up the phone, because they got to know where the hell you're at in order to have a plane get you from where you're at to get you to where you want to go. So until you understand where you're at, you're not going to get anywhere, because you're telling me all these things, you work so hard and you're so dedicated and you're so ripped, but you're not performing in the game. So there's something missing. You have to look in the mirror yourself. And it's not about me, it's not about anybody else, it's about you. You got to be real about where you're at before you can even get to the next place. And I'm not sure that you've reached that point yet. As far as the tips on you getting more results, I basically told you everything you need to do. Talk to those players, be real with yourself, figure out what you're missing, and then add that to your game. Since you work hard already, you won't have any problem altering the way you work to get the results that you want. Next question, Badger says, what I think about the New York Knicks, they're doing really bad despite the fact they have a playoff team, at least in my opinion. Where is the problem? Well, first of all, Badger, a playoff team is a team that makes the playoffs. And the Knicks, Did they make the playoffs last year? I don't think they made the playoffs last year. I might be wrong. I can't even remember last year's playoffs. But right now, if the NBA season ended, the Knicks would not make the playoffs. The Knicks have a very bad record. They're not a playoff team this season. Because if we start the playoffs right now, the top 8 seeds, the Knicks are not amongst them. So they're definitely not a playoff team on the court. They're not a playoff team on paper either. As far as the way their team is constructed, talent-wise, they're really just not that good. I'm guessing you may be a Knicks fan, bad sir. I know there's a lot of New York Knicks fans out there. I used to be a Knicks fan back in the Patrick Ewing, John Starks days. But this team's just not that good. Carmelo Anthony is their best player, and Carmelo he's not a complete player, I would say. He's a great scorer. Carmelo Anthony's not a guy who's going to impact the game on the defensive end. That's just who he is. We've seen him play long enough that we know that. And the Knicks don't have impact players on defense to kind of cover for him in the other 4 slots. Amari Stoudemire is a 20 minutes per game guy. He's still explosive when he can be, but he can only give you 20 minutes. They let Tyson Chandler go, who was a big part of that team. I'm not sure who the answer is at the point guard position. J.R. Smith, they still got him. I've said many times, J.R. Smith has all the skills that Kobe Bryant got, but he just doesn't have a performance. I don't know what it is. It's not a J.R. Smith discussion, but I think the Knicks as a team, the way they're presently constructed is just not a good mix of players. It's not a good basketball team. But hope for you, Badser, and all the Knicks fans out there is Derek Fisher's in his first year as a coach. Phil Jackson's in his first year running the operations in New York. I think in a couple of years, we're talking about drafts and the way they handle free agency and possibly what they can do with trades with the players that they have. I don't know what. The Knicks can and will get better, but they had to change the roster as presently constructed. This team that they have is not a good basketball team. They have good players, but all those players mixed together just doesn't work, and it's obvious because it's shown on the court. Next question. I'm True Skills. He says, how many moves do you have? I also read your book, Buy a Game. It's a great read. For those of you who don't know about my book, Buy a Game, you can read it for free at dreallday.com/buyagame. BUYAGAME. That's a free PDF. You can also get the hard copy or Kindle version at Amazon. And he says, how many moves do I have? I don't have a finite number of moves. Those moves can come out of nowhere. I might go play in a game tomorrow and just do a move that I never did before just because of the situation on the court or whatever I come up with. So it's not like you have a set number of moves or you have some amount memorized. As players ask stuff like that, like what move do I do in this situation, in that situation. If you watch basketball games, all you players out there, people who observe basketball, you notice that the players who score a lot of points, and even the players who don't, the majority of their points don't come off any type of moves. Really is basic stuff. Catch and shoot. 1 or 2 dribble pull-up, if you want to call those moves. A post little hook shot, turn around, a bank shot, a free throw, driving to the basket, making a layup, catching a ball from a teammate, a spot-up jump shot, a catch on the cut. They might get a dunk or a layup or a little short shot in the lane. The majority of points come off basic stuff that doesn't make the highlight reels. Now, if you watch a player and all you see is the highlights, then that's when I get players coming to me saying, hey, Dre, can you teach me how to do Kyrie's layup where he jumps on one side, he dips the ball under, then he reverses it with his left hand around the arms of the defender? Yeah, that was 2 of his points. But the other 18 of the 20 that he had was on basic stuff. 1 dribble pull up, just driving and making a layup, cutting off the ball, catch the pass, and finish. But nobody ever asked me about that stuff. They want to know about the highlight stuff. And in order to get to the highlights, you got to get the basics down. And to get a highlight, you got to be on the court. And if you don't have any basics, you won't even get in the game. So that's a long answer to his question, how many moves do I have? Because it's not really about having moves. It's about having skills and being able to respond in a moment with whatever is necessary. And that does not necessarily need to be a move. Next question, KB Titan 24. He said, I was at the gym at lunchtime in school, working on my game, etc. And these, in quotation marks, he puts so-called good players. They were playing 3-on-3, and they don't put any effort into basketball. He was on the other side of the gym working his ass off. They asked him to play, so he started to play with them, and then like 3 more people showed up. And the game started rolling. He shot 1 for 7 in field goals. He felt like trash because he was shooting, and his teammates decided to stop passing him the ball. And he felt like that he showed these guys that he sucks. How should I deal with this mentally? Because I want to dominate with a killer aggressive mentality. Okay. First of all, KB Titan 24. You say you're on the court working your ass off, putting in work, getting better, and these other guys are not serious and they're just playing 3-on-3. They don't take the game serious. Here's my question to you. How do you even know that they weren't taking the game serious? You know because you were paying attention to them. Now, if you're on the court working your ass off and improving and taking it serious, you wouldn't even know that they exist until the point that they say something to you. If I'm in the gym practicing and I'm working on my game and I'm on this court and there's another person on the other court, I don't care what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're practicing, whether they're serious or not, it's like they don't even exist. I'm doing what I'm doing and they don't even come into my consciousness unless their basketball comes on my court or they come over and actually say something to me to get my attention. And you said they did ask you to play, but before that point, you said you're working your ass off and they're not taking it serious. That's because you're paying attention to them. So how serious are you really taking it if you're paying them any mind? You shouldn't even notice anybody else in the gym when you're on the court working on your game as you say you were. The second thing is you called them so-called good players. They didn't come up to you and say, hey, we're good players. They didn't have on t-shirts that said, we're so-called good players. You decided this because you're thinking about them. So this is further that you're not focused on what you need to be doing. Now, a lot of players come to me and they ask me, okay, they tell me what their situation is, and then they say, all right, what can I do? They want me to tell them more things that they can do, or more things that they can remember or think about or train or memorize that they can do, add to whatever they're already doing or thinking or saying so that their games can improve. When a lot of you players, KB Titan, you are one of them, a lot of you players really need to eliminate a lot of stuff. It's not more stuff you need to do, it's less stuff you need to do. Less things you need to be thinking about, less people you need to be paying attention to, less moves you're trying to master, less if you cut out a whole lot of the extra stuff that's in your mind, because everything you end up doing is coming from a thought or idea or some type of vision or mentality that you had. If you're able to cut out a lot of that stuff, you'll get a lot better just by releasing those things. There's not more you need to add to your plate. You need to take some things off the plate. We call that addition by subtraction. I'm sure y'all have heard that phrase before. That's what it means, because a lot of people are carrying around a lot of extra baggage, especially mentally. KB Titan, your question is a prime example. You said they're so-called good players. They didn't tell you that. You came up with that because you're thinking about them when you claim you're working on your game. You said you're working on your game. You said they're not serious. They're just joking around. How do you know that? Because you're paying attention to them. So you need to focus on you. Stop worrying about them. As far as your mentality goes, bad games can happen to anyone. The good thing about a game of basketball is you can go play another one the very next day. I'm sure you played again, maybe since the time you posted this question. Maybe you didn't, but when you see this now, you can go play another game and replace that memory with a better memory. And you can erase that memory the same way you erase anything else that happened. When you went to the gym, somebody probably walked past you in the street. Do you remember who they were, what they looked like, how tall they were? You don't remember anything. You just completely forgot it. So the same way you can completely forget what happened in that basketball game, replace that movie with a better movie. I got a weekly motivation where I talk about stop rewinding the bad movies. If you go to the movies and you see a movie that's completely terrible, would you go to the movies again and pay to see that movie again? No. You would never see it again. You would never think about it again. If somebody had it on DVD and asked if you wanted to come over and watch it, you would say, I'll come over, but not to watch that movie because it was a terrible movie. Do the same thing with the terrible games that you have. You can erase it out your mind, forget about it, and never replay it again. That's what you can do mentally. If you want to have a killer aggressive mentality, first of all, you can't kill anything if you don't have a weapon. All right, now if you want to be a killer in basketball, you need to have a knife or a gun or something that can kill people, and that's your skills. And if you're out there shooting 1 of 7 against players who are so-called good and they're not taking the game seriously by your definition, then you're probably not that good. You don't have the materials to kill. Now, do you have the potential to kill? Do you have the potential to make your mentality good enough to kill? Yes. Do you have the materials? I would venture to say that you don't. So what you need to do is work on your game, focusing on you so that you actually have a gun. And then once you have a gun, then you can kill somebody. And right now you don't have any weapons, so you can't do any killing. Next question is Kayvan Noruzikia. Says, I have a question. When discovering competitive basketball, when I went through my struggle to become a pro player, did my attitude with people change? He says, because I see you are not smiling a lot in my videos and you are ice. I guess that just means like a cold type of disposition, I'm supposing. He says, not a bad thing at all, but personally growing up with basketball, my behavior, this is him speaking, changed a lot. I'm becoming a selfish asshole because I feel if you're too sociable, you can't outlast your competition. So I'm just asking if the same type of thing happened to you. Keep up the good work and thanks. Well, Kayvon, the first thing is you are not able to, or maybe you can assume, but you can't make a generalization about another person's personality. If we're talking about me here, let's just say you watch this Q&A every week and you watch all the videos I put out. In total, the Q&A and all the videos I put out don't equate to more than 2 hours in a whole week. They're 24 hours in a day. So let's say I did an hour-long Q&A every day of the week. You're seeing 1 hour of the 24 that I lived that day. So you're not seeing me away from what I'm doing on YouTube. You don't see me interacting with people in live situations. You don't know what I'm reading, thinking, talking, saying, who I'm hanging with, what environments I'm in. So just to say that you don't see me smiling and laughing a lot in the videos, which you probably haven't watched. You haven't watched all the videos because there are a bunch where there are other dispositions and other emotions and other feelings and other types of attitudes you'll see from me in these videos. So there's a lot that you haven't seen. I put out over 4,000 of these. You haven't seen all of them. The only person seen them all is me. But to answer the question about you, the answer is no. You don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to be selfish. You don't have to be a mean person just in general in life in order to get good at basketball. The way it works is this. I did a motivation video a few weeks back about compartmentalizing in your life. Compartmentalizing is simple. It could be like you're in a room with your friends, your family, people that you love, and you're having fun, you're having a good time, laughing and joking. An hour later, you need to be on the court for your basketball game. So you can step away from those people, your friends and family, get yourself mentally ready to perform. And then when the game starts, you're right there. You're ice, the way that you like to describe it. And you're ready to perform and be a killer on the court. And when the game's over and you see your friends and family, your brother, your sister, your kids, your wife, your mom and dad, you're able to smile and be happy again because the performance is over. So you're able to compartmentalize and be flexible enough mentally that you can go from this is a situation where I can relax and chill to this situation where I got to be business-like and handle my business. And then I can go right back to a situation where I can have fun. That is a skill. It's a mental skill. You can practice your mental skill. I've talked about this in two of my books, The Mental Handbook and The Mirror of Motivation. You can check out both of those books on Amazon and also on my website, dreallday.com. There are links to both books right there on the sidebar and my author site, which is dreallday.me. So you can look into the mental game and practice your mental skills. So you don't have to become a complete jerk in life to be good at basketball, because what's going to happen, you become a complete jerk in life, it probably won't even help your game. So now you be not good at basketball and you're a jerk. So that wouldn't help at all. Next question, iPad Man 2158 says, I'm a freshman, I made the JV team. Thanks for all the helpful videos, Dre. You're welcome and congratulations. Amazing One says, Dre, how do you get girls? That's a good question. You had to ask me something a little bit more specific than that. How do you get girls? But when I do get to working on the Dre All Day channel, the off the court stuff that I want to talk about and address, I will announce that. That's youtube.com/DreAllDay. So if you click on my name down below, on my channel, you'll see on the side featured channels. You'll see a bunch of other channels I have here on YouTube if you didn't know about them. Dre All Day is the one where all the off-court stuff's going to be. I am going to get that going in 2015, where I'm going to address things that don't have to do with basketball, but people ask me about. So you'll see that when I get to it. But if you want me to address that question, be a lot more specific. Next question, Balling Like the Raptors. He says, I want to know if you ever had problems with girls as far as getting their number or getting them to go out with you as a high schooler. Do you happen to listen to Joey Badass? Well, first of all, I've heard of Joey Badass, but I haven't listened to him much at all. And as far as having problems getting girls, getting their number or getting them to go out with me as a high schooler. Well, here's the thing. Working with girls or dealing with girls and socializing, even females socializing with men, may be a little bit different. But it's the same as basketball. When you first start out, you're not going to be good at it. You might try to talk to a girl and just completely freeze up or forget what you was going to say, or you say what you want to say and she's not interested at all, or you try to talk to the pretty girl in class, she completely ignores you or laughs in your face, or she gives you a phone number and then doesn't answer the phone or never calls you back. Those things can happen the same way in basketball. You get the ball stolen from you, you get your shot blocked, somebody scores 50 points on you in a game when you're new to it. When you go up against somebody who's more experienced and they dominate you and you don't feel like you're a good player because you're not a good player yet. It's the same thing that happen in social situations. You have to take your lumps at the beginning, but the only way you're going to get better is by taking those lumps. You gain is a cliche that people use. I wouldn't even call it a cliche. By going through the challenging experiences or those negative experiences, what you gain is that knowledge. You gain what we call experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. And having bad judgment, you get that experience, then you had a good judgment. But the only way you're able to develop good judgments through experience, and the only way you get experience is to have bad judgment and have bad things happen to you. Had the mistakes happen. The mistakes give you knowledge and experience, and the knowledge and experience combined allows you to have success. But you can't get one without going through the others. So you have to just go through it. You're interested in a girl. I don't know, that's not what he said, but let's just say he is. This is Kirti. No, this is Balling Like the Rappers. I'm sorry, asking this. So if you're interested in a girl, go through it. If it doesn't work out, then it don't work out. But now what you got is some knowledge. Now you have some experience. Now you have something that you can build on moving forward. But the only way that you'll be able to fail at this is if you quit and you just stop trying to socialize and talk to people, because the failures and the mistakes start beating you down mentally, which is what most people do. So if you don't want to be like most people, you just keep going after it the same way you kept going after it. Any of you out there in basketball, when you started off as a bum, you kept going, you got better, you got better. Now you're one of the better players around. Next question, no pun intended. Next question, final question is Kirti Korha Singh says, Dre, how do you get your defender off balance when playing one-on-one? Doesn't matter which move I do, my defender always stays in his place. Well, Kirti, what you need to do is work on your game more, because if you're thinking about which move should I do, that means you have a very limited range of skills and a very limited range of experience. So what you need to do is practice a whole lot more. I say you need to practice for 5 hours for every 1 hour you spend playing against anybody else. If you do that, your skills will develop. Once you have some actual skills, then you can get on the court and you'll learn how to develop those instincts, which will allow you to call on any skill unconsciously at any moment. Because if you're in the game thinking about which move should I do, that means you have not played and practiced enough. And at this point, you're asking me, well, how do you get a defender off balance? That's because you haven't practiced enough. So you should watch a lot of the game videos I put out, the one-on-one stuff especially, so you can see when I describe how this player got this defender off balance, what it is, what the situation was that allowed this offensive player to take this advantage, or what allowed this defensive player to make this play happen. These are things that I go over every single day. Even in the NBA Move of the Nights, you can see these same examples, and with the one-on-one game clips that I post, because you get a better look at the one-on-one aspect without the other 8 players on the court. So those are the things you need to do. That's it for the Q&A this week, everybody. Thank you for the questions. Questions have been very good. Keep them coming. Leave your comments and questions. Leave your questions in the comments to this video. I will address them when I record next Friday. You'll see it next Saturday. Work on your fucking game. DreAllDay.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here. And make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.